I've never had to work really hard to go out and find clients.
Okay.
But I would say that in the seasons that I have, it's been using tools online, and specifically Dribbble for me.
Okay.
Tools online that, people are already out there looking, and you can go and kind of sell yourself.
Okay.
So I remember 2020 and 2021, I probably did 10 jobs through Dribbble. So
Wow.
I actually had a schedule where every week I would go on the, freelance the design job board on Dribbble, and I would see what applies, like what do I actually want to do in here, because there's a lot of things that like people don't really describe it well. So I needed it to be logo or branding, right? Because I knew what I wanted to do. And so I'm already at the point where I'm saying no to a lot of things because I didn't want to do any work outside of that.
Okay.
But I would say every week I'm gonna send out 20 messages.
Okay, that's not a ton.
That's not a ton of messages.
Yeah, that's doable.
And I would say that once a month I would get, or once a week I would get at least one reply, and that leads to a conversation into like, what do you actually need? Because the Dribbble description is not great.
Yeah. And you tell them that,
normally.
right? You tell them, man, your description sucks. I'm just kidding.
Terrible. Hated it. No, I have flattery, man. It's like, but so it would lead to a conversation that's really about like, what do you actually need? Can we have a conversation like over Zoom or in person?
Yeah.
Not usually in person because nobody's here.
Yeah, totally.
But like, I want to get to know you better and learn more about the project or the process. And if somebody's non-communicative or they just don't want to do that, early on, there was a lot more pursuit because I was trying to get more work.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in that mode of like, I'm going to say a lot more yeses now so that I can say a lot more no's later.
Yeah.
Because, when you're first starting, you may have to do work you don't love.
Yes, but should you sacrifice the type of work you do, or should you more sacrifice just the type of client?
I would rather sacrifice the type of work than the client.
So you'd rather have a good client
Right.
with a slightly misaligned
Right.
project than a bad client with a perfectly
I'm
aligned.
saying that because I didn't always do that.
Okay.
When I was first starting. So I did some projects that I don't like.
Okay.
And I took some like order taking gigs that I would never take again.
Yeah.
And I think it's lack of experience, but it's also operating from a position of like, I need work and I want to have something to show, or I want, to have, something to do for the next 2 weeks or whatever it is. And so like, this person's giving me an opportunity. It's not ideal and I haven't really communicated the way I want to, but early on in my business, I didn't really understand how valuable communication was either.
Okay.
So that's also a product of experience and understanding that I don't get the best out of a job and neither does a client unless we have that communication. So yes, early on, for me, it was Dribbble. It was a lot of like sending out messages, and I took some clients that were awesome, but I also took some clients that took advantage of me. I didn't love the invoicing was a disaster, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that everybody has to go through that because I think you can learn from other people's mistakes, but there is a mode where when you're first getting started and you don't have a name for yourself, you're probably going to do some work that you don't love, but eventually you need to get to the point where you're saying no and you're not sacrificing your own well-being or the kind of work you actually want to do just for a paycheck.